Hello everyone, myself Gaurav Kulkarni, and today I'll be sharing some information regarding the inheritance in Java. So what does it mean by the inheritance? So inheritance is nothing but when a class acquires properties and behavior of other class to its, then it is called as inheritance. So let's take an example of classes A and B. So when B classes inherits the properties and behaviors, or acquires all the properties and behaviors of class A to itself, then it is called as inheritance. So you have understood that the inheritance is nothing but acquiring the properties and behaviors from a parent class. So here, when we take an example of two classes, in the one class from the two is a parent class, while the second one is the child class. So how to identify which one is the parent and which one is the child class? So child class is also called as derived class, because basically it is acquiring the properties from parent class. So the class which is acquiring the properties of another class called a child class, while the properties or behavior we are acquiring from the class, then the class should be called as parent class. So in the concept of inheritance, the two classes form is a relationship between the two classes. That means if suppose there is a classes parent and child, then the classes should form a relationship like the parent is a child. So the is a relationship formed between the two classes. So there are five types of inheritance in Java. The first one is the single, second one is the multi-level inheritance, third one is the hierarchical, the fourth one is the multiple, and the fifth one is the hybrid. So we will take a look to the one by one. So in single inheritance, so what does it mean by single level inheritance? Single level inheritance means a class is acquiring properties from a single class. So there is only one parent class from which we are acquiring the properties and behavior to the class B. So a parent class is also called as a base class, from which we are acquiring the properties, while the class which is deriving the properties from a class called a child class or a subclass. Every class is subclass itself, but the parent class is also called as superclass or the base class, while the child is also called as subclass or the derived class itself. So in single level inheritance, only one derived class and only one parent class is available. The next type of inheritance is multi-level inheritance. So as the name suggests, there are more than two classes available. So let's take an example of three classes, namely A, B and C. So when A class acquiring properties, when the A class is inheriting its properties to the class B, and the class B inheriting, so in class B already had some properties of itself, and the properties derived from class A is also available in B. So when these properties from the B class is indirectly has the properties of A class derived to the C class, then the C class will have the properties of A class, properties of B class derived from the B class, and the properties of itself. Then we can say that C is indirectly derived from A class, because it is also it also has the properties which are derived from the class A. So we can conclude that in multi-level inheritance, one class is acquiring properties to the another class. So the class which is acquiring properties from the parent class is already derived from another class itself. So the next type is hierarchical inheritance. So hierarchical inheritance it means a single parent class will be there and number of childs will be available to acquire the properties. So we can say that only one when more than one or two child classes or derived classes acquiring properties from a single base class called as hierarchical inheritance, and its vice versa is also called as a type multiple inheritance. Multiple inheritance is nothing but instead of single parent here, there are multiple parents and a single derived class, which means a single derived class is acquiring properties from the both parent classes, that A and B. So it has properties of A class also and B class also. but Java does not support multiple inheritance. Cause why? So you will ask a question, why Java does not support multiple inheritance. So let's take an example. If class A and class B have some methods itself which inherited by the class C. So while the compilation time, when the compiler calls a method mapping, so there are two methods available. One method is from the class A and the second method is from class B. So while the calling time, the compiler gets confused to which method from the class should be executed. So this will create a confusion to the compiler and throw a compilation time error. So that's why the Java does not support multiple inheritance and hybrid inheritance also. So what is meant by hybrid inheritance? So hybrid inheritance is nothing but the combination of two different types of inheritance itself. So suppose a single inheritance and a multiple inheritance from a inheritance, again it is called as hybrid inheritance. So there are few advantages and disadvantages as well. The advantages are the code can be reused, and thus we are reusing the code. It allows or it improves its reliability because the code is verified again and again. And the next function and the next advantage is when we can achieve polymorphism. Polymorphism is nothing but method overriding concept which we can use in inheritance. And the third is the less amount of work or less amount of code we have to write. And the disadvantages are when the two classes inherit each other, then they form a tight coupled. So tight coupled is tight coupled we can understand when we process some changes in class A, it will also reflect in class B. So it will affect all the process or all the programs from top to bottom. That's it for today. Thank you.